why should someone have a good fitness mentality coming into the new year, and how do they maintain that throughout the year?
Yeah, I think the second part is the most important, is how do they maintain it, right? Because New Year's resolutions come around and you don't know the exact statistics, but it's like, 80% plus of people their main, goal has something to do, or resolution has something to do with their health and their body, right? So the gyms get super crowded for the first 2 weeks. And then again, I don't know the exact date, January 18th or 23rd or something, about 3.5 weeks in, there's literally a national resolution day where people have, the majority of people have given up, dropped off, and you see it in the gyms. I mean, they're packed right now. It'll slowly fade by February. It'll be back to normal. And so what I do is help people, realize, number one, I look at a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, busy people. Two biggest excuses I hear why they don't, not going to work out, especially for busy, successful people, is, money a little bit, not so much that I'm not willing to invest in a coach, or I'm not willing to invest in the healthy food, but I'm not willing to take away from my business because I'm making money. And then time. But what I help them realize, ask the question, if you had in your business, a piece of equipment, $1 billion piece of equipment responsible for, running the company, most important piece of equipment in the company, would you run it 24/7, redline it, never do maintenance on it and hope and pray it doesn't break down? And of course the answer is no. But I believe as a business owner, you are your company's most important asset. And so take out that you're going to feel better. Take out that you're giving yourself the chance to live a long time, and be healthy and actually enjoy life. Take out the chance that you can be a better husband, a better father when you show up with energy for your wife, your kids, your husband. You actually, and there's studies that prove this, you make more money when you feel good, when you're energetic, that magnetic attractiveness where people just want to do business with you.
Absolutely. I'll double down on that. I think when not only me personally, but everybody I interview here, says that when they're working out, they're feeling like a lot better. They have their mindset right. They not only feel better, but I think they correlate to other employees better. They're a better energy ball all around the office, the workforce, et cetera, the meetings. And it leads to better productivity, creative thinking. For me, working out is essential. So what would you recommend for someone trying to get into working out? Like, how do they start? A lot of people say, hey, I don't have time, but that's really not the truth. So how do you get around that for someone that you coach?
The truth, we all have the same time. And again, you see people that are super busy that, are making time for it. I have run 3 businesses, have 3 young kids, but what about the single mom that's, working 2 jobs, raising, 4 or 5 kids by herself, and she still finds time. So it comes back to, what Tony Robbins talks about, we all have shoulds. I should do this. I should do that. Shoulds don't get done. It has to become a must. So it has to become a decision and a commitment. And, for me, like I do what I do. I'm 49 years old today. I'm known as the fit dad with abs. I keep abs 365 days a year, run circles. And I say that not to brag. I say it for inspiration, because I grew up a chubby kid wearing the husky pants. I friggin' hated it. I wore the white t-shirt at the pool, had the spread of fat around my stomach. And I tried on my own, had some okay success, but never really got where I wanted to go. I was working as a CPA, working for one of the big firms, traveling, late nights business dinners, drinking and partying in my 20s. And finally at 27 years old, so this is to answer your question, I said, enough's enough. You never really did it. And you never, let's get this part of your life taken care of. So I made a decision. And more importantly, I made a commitment. So that's where it starts. Make the decision, make the commitment. You're going to get this part of your life taken care of. And then the rest is details. And it's really not that complicated. You need to have a good plan, but it's not that complicated.
I love that. I think you have to, enough is enough, right? At a certain point, you have to say, this is what I'm doing. This is who I want to be. And I think that's the body transformation that you're discussing. You mentioned 6-pack abs, so you're totally killing the dad bod. And in there, how do you get a 6-pack and still eat pizza and ice cream? I mean, how do you do that, Russ?
Most people don't believe it. So, when I did the transformation contest, I was trained by one of the top, or he was the top natural bodybuilder in the world at the time. So I did the whole, train in the morning for 2 hours weights, cardio at night for an hour, eat chicken and broccoli, 2 hours later, protein shake, 2 hours later, chicken and broccoli. Maybe you get green beans if you're lucky. And I lived that way a long time. And I trained my clients like that early on, and it works. But the problem was I noticed like my clients, they started going back. They focus for 3 months, transform and go back. And the reason is that's not a realistic or sustainable way for most people to live. And I lived that way a long time. It worked for me. But as 10 years ago, I met my amazing wife, Emily. We have 3 young kids now. And for me now, it's more about, I want to live a long time. I want to be healthy, fit, energetic. I want to, maximize my health, be there for my business and my employees and my clients. But I still want to have the abs. And I like eating things like pizza, ice cream, and tacos. So I've been asking myself that question specifically the last 10 years, can you have it all? And the answer is yes, when you have the right strategy, right plan, and right consistency. And, we can go into more detail if you'd like, but when I have a whole talk I do on the difference between eating healthy and eating to look good. Eating healthy is micronutrition, getting your vitamins, your phytonutrients, antioxidants, staying away from too much processed food, sugar, all that kind of stuff. Eating to look good, if you understand how to get your calories right and your macronutrients, which is just the 3 types of calories, carbohydrates, protein, and fat, you could literally eat all junk food and be shredded. And I'm not recommending that, but that is that's how you can do it. So my philosophy for myself and my clients is, 75, 80% of the time, eat the healthy, nutritious foods. 20 to 25% eat whatever you want without labeling it good or bad. That messes with our relationship with food. And plus, if you can't have it, you want it more. One of the most freeing things I ever did for myself, Simon, was I can eat whatever I want. And once I said that, it doesn't mean I go eat a bunch of junk food all the time, but it relieves that pressure. I'd have that healthy relationship with food. And with that model of, that 80-20, so to speak, it's a way you can look great, feel great, be healthy, and still enjoy real fun foods. And it's sustainable for the rest of your life.
Thanks for sharing that, Russ. I think having kids also, when you have children and you're going to all these birthday parties and you're always hanging out, there's going to be pizza and chicken wings, and then you're at a Super Bowl party. They're not going to have, snap peas for you in most cases, right? So definitely a balance there. And I think I've met a lot of people that are so strict to that one diet, but I've never met an individual that can maintain the chicken and like string beans diet for over 6 months or whatever it is. And I've had business partners, coworkers that are like, I'm on this new diet, I'm gonna do this, and they're like making this little prep meal, but it just 3 months later, like you said, they're back to this is difficult, right? It's not sustainable. And I think it's moderation. You could eat that stuff, but you got to work it out. And sugar, I think, also is what I personally try to stay away from. Now, I've put up a couple photos on Instagram. I did have a shredded 4.5 pack, maybe a 3 pack. I don't know, but
Let's go, man.
Yeah, it's not bad. But compared to my age and a lot of the dads I know, it's I don't see that often. The dad bod was like a thing. Let's talk about how do you balance. You mentioned 3 businesses. How do you balance your life, your work-life balance there with 3 kids, being married for 10 years, keeping a happy wife, and running several businesses? I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, I could grab my wife and see, she can tell you if she's happy. It's standards, and I'm not going to say it's easy, right? I believe anybody who says I have the perfect balance of life, yeah. I think they're probably full of crap, but I think it's striving for the right balance for you at the right season. Again, I have my non-negotiables, like my health is a non-negotiable. It's not, if I feel like working out, am I going to do it? It's just what I do. And because when I've got my health, again, that's going to translate into my relationship with my wife, with my kids, my business, like we talked about earlier. For me, my relationship with God is a non-negotiable for me. And then it's just a standard. Like I work a lot. I love what I do. I'm blessed to be able to do something I love, transforming people's lives, changing their lives. But I also make I think I'm thankful, or I know I'm thankful for having kids a little older. Because I think when you're younger, I wouldn't have thought this way, but like I travel some, but like if I'm at home, I'm seeing them every morning and every night. Like nice. I'm not going to I may not be spending, hours and hours with them every day. They probably don't want to do that anyway, but I'm making it a non-negotiable that I'm seeing them. I'm making it a non-negotiable, that my wife do trips and that we do date nights. When we got married, we both love to travel, and we made it a commitment. We're going to do a trip, at least one trip, if not multiple, with just us every year. And we've kept like a good trip. And we've done that every year. 8 months old, and we went on a 10-day Greece cruise, where some parents are like, well, how could you leave your twins? Like, they're fine with grandma.
It's so important to maintain that structure of that loving relationship at home. I think a lot of parents, and I even see it on this podcast, they're so entrenched in the daily kids' life of school and birthday parties and this and that. They forget how to be lovers, and they forget how to show respect to one another, what date night even feels like, right? It's like, it's unheard of. And I think that's so healthy. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you guys do that. So you left the two twins, went on the cruise. The cruise, you had the time of your life, I would imagine.
Incredible. We've done some cool trips. That's if not my top, it's top 3 for sure.
Then let's talk about, you mentioned something, the second business every business owner should have. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means real estate, or something with passive income. For me, I haven't found anything more reliable and consistent, than real estate. I mean, I got a bunch of emails today with direct deposits, a little under $6,000 that I did absolutely nothing for, that comes in every single month. And I like that. I talk about, building lean muscle, because the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. It creates passive fat burning. And I love passive fat burning. I love passive income, and again, I lucky to have some really wise mentors in terms of, building wealth. And, what they've taught me is it's not how much money you make. There's people that are broke making 30 grand a year. There's people broke making, 300,000 a year. And there's people making 3 million a year, that still end up using it all. That, you need to take a certain percentage, invest it into an asset that's going to grow over time and, hopefully pay you some, dividends or passive cash flow along the way.